Right now, at this very moment, you're carrying something that was never meant to be yours to carry. You're holding on to worries, fears, anxieties, and problems that are weighing you down, making each step harder than it needs to be. And here's what I want you to understand today. You don't have to carry any of it, not one single bit of it. There's a force in this universe, a power greater than anything you can comprehend with your logical mind, and it's waiting for you to simply let go and allow it to work miracles in your life. You see, most of us have been taught to rely entirely on ourselves. We've been conditioned to believe that if we don't worry about something, it won't get done. If we don't stress about our problems, they won't get solved. If we don't control every aspect of our lives, everything will fall apart. But this is the biggest lie we've ever been told. This belief is the source of all your suffering, all your pain, all your sleepless nights. And today, I'm here to tell you that there's another way. There's a better way. There's a way that brings peace, joy, and miracles into your life without all that struggle. When you give it to God, when you truly surrender your worries and your problems to this infinite intelligence, you're not giving up. You're not being lazy. You're not avoiding responsibility. What you're doing is aligning yourself with the most powerful force in the universe. You're stepping out of your own way. You're removing the biggest obstacle to your success, which is your ego's insistence that you have to figure everything out on your own. Think about this for a moment. The same power that creates galaxies, that makes flowers bloom, that keeps your heart beating without you having to think about it, that power is available to you right now. It's not somewhere far away. It's not reserved for special people. It's right here, right now, within you and around you. And all it asks of you is that you trust it. All it requires is that you stop trying to force things to happen and instead allow them to unfold naturally. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I have real problems. I have bills to pay. I have responsibilities. I can't just sit around and do nothing. And you're absolutely right. I'm not telling you to do nothing. I'm telling you to do everything differently. I'm telling you to act from a place of peace instead of panic. I'm telling you to move forward with faith instead of fear. I'm telling you to trust that when you do your part and then let go of the outcome, miracles happen. Here's the secret that changed my life and has changed the lives of millions of people. Worry is absolutely useless. It doesn't solve a single problem. It doesn't prevent anything bad from happening. It doesn't make you more prepared. All worry does is steal your joy, drain your energy, and block the very solutions you're looking for. Worry is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. When you worry, you're essentially saying to the universe, I don't trust you. I don't believe you can handle this. I have to figure this out on my own. And when you send out that energy of distrust and fear, you block the flow of miracles. You close the door to possibilities. You disconnect yourself from the source of all solutions. But when you give it to God, when you say, I trust that this will work out for my highest good, you open yourself up to receive help in ways you could never have planned or predicted. Let me tell you something that most people don't understand. The universe is not neutral. It's not indifferent to you. There's an organizing intelligence that wants you to succeed, that wants you to be happy, that wants you to live your best life. But it can't help you if you're constantly pushing against it with your worry and your need to control. It's like trying to swim upstream. You exhaust yourself, you make no progress, and you miss all the beauty around you. I've seen this play out thousands of times. Someone has a problem that seems impossible to solve. They've tried everything. They've worried themselves sick. They've lost sleep. They've made themselves miserable. And then, finally, when they're at the end of their rope, they surrender. They say, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm giving this to you, God. I trust you to handle this. And within days, sometimes within hours, a solution appears. A door opens. A person shows up. An opportunity presents itself. Something shifts. And what seemed impossible becomes not only possible, but easy. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is how the universe actually works. When you align yourself with the creative power of the universe, when you stop resisting and start allowing, you become a channel for miracles. You become available to receive guidance, inspiration, and help from sources you never expected. You tap into a wisdom that's far greater than your logical mind could ever access. Now, I want to address something important here. Giving it to God doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you sit on your couch eating potato chips waiting for a check to appear in your mailbox. What it means is that you take inspired action rather than desperate action. You move forward with confidence rather than anxiety. You do what needs to be done, but you do it from a place of trust rather than fear. There's a huge difference between these two approaches. When you act from fear, you're operating from your ego. Your ego tells you that you have to push, force, manipulate, and control. Your ego tells you that if you don't worry, something terrible will happen. Your ego keeps you stuck in struggle because struggle is what it knows. But when you act from trust, you're operating from your higher self. Your higher self knows that you're supported. Your higher self knows that everything is working out. Your higher self guides you toward the right actions at the right time. Think about the best moments in your life. Think about the times when things just flowed, when the right person showed up at the right time, when an opportunity came out of nowhere, when a problem solved itself. What was your state of mind during those times? I'll bet you weren't worrying. I'll bet you weren't stressing. I'll bet you were in a state of relative peace, maybe even joy. That's because when you're in that state, you're aligned with the creative power of the universe. You're in the flow. And here's what's really beautiful about this. The more you practice giving your worries to God, the easier it becomes. The first time you do it, your ego will fight you. It'll tell you that you're being irresponsible. It'll try to pull you back into worry. But if you persist, if you keep choosing trust over fear, something remarkable happens. You start to see evidence that this works. You start to notice that when you let go, things work out. And as you accumulate more and more evidence, your faith grows stronger. Faith isn't something you're born with or without. Faith is something you develop through practice. It's like a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. Every time you give a worry to God and then witness how it gets resolved, your faith muscle grows. Every time you trust instead of panic and then see a positive outcome, you're training yourself to trust more easily the next time. Let me share something with you that's absolutely crucial to understand. The worry you're holding on to right now is not protecting you from anything. It's not making you safer. It's not making you smarter. It's not making you more prepared. All it's doing is making you miserable. And here's the really important part. Your misery is not required for things to work out. In fact, your misery is getting in the way of things working out. You don't have to suffer to earn good outcomes. You don't have to prove your worthiness through stress and struggle. You don't have to pay your dues with anxiety and fear. These are all lies we've been told, beliefs that have been passed down through generations. The truth is that you're worthy of miracles right now, exactly as you are. You're worthy of ease. You're worthy of grace. You're worthy of having things work out better than you could have planned. When you truly understand this, when you really get it in your bones, everything changes. You stop being at war with life. You stop fighting against what is. You stop trying to force outcomes. Instead, you start to flow with life. You start to trust the process. You start to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to your survival. And this is when the impossible becomes possible. This is when miracles start showing up in your life. Not because you've done something special, but because you've stopped blocking them. You've stopped standing in your own way. You've stopped letting your ego run the show. You've surrendered to something greater than yourself. And in that surrender, you've found true power. I want you to think about water for a moment. Water is soft, yielding, flexible. It doesn't try to force its way through obstacles. It simply flows around them. And yet, over time, water carves through rock. Water shapes mountains. Water is one of the most powerful forces on earth, precisely because it doesn't resist. It doesn't fight. It simply flows. This is the power of surrender. This is the power of giving it to God. You become like water. You stop forcing. You stop pushing. You stop struggling. And in that state of flow, you become unstoppable. Not because you're using force, but because you're aligned with the natural order of the universe. Now, I know some of you are thinking about specific problems in your life right now. Maybe you're worried about money. Maybe you're concerned about a relationship. Maybe you're dealing with health issues. Maybe you're facing a challenge at work. Whatever it is, I want you to understand something. The same principle applies to all of it. Every single problem, every worry, every fear can be given to God. When you worry about money, you're telling the universe that you believe in scarcity. You're affirming that there's not enough. you're focusing on lack, and what you focus on expands. But when you give your money worries to God, when you trust that you'll be provided for, you open yourself up to receive abundance. You start to notice opportunities you were blind to before. Ideas come to you. People appear who can help you. Doors open that were previously closed. When you worry about relationships, you're coming from a place of fear and insecurity. You're trying to control another person's behavior. You're clinging and grasping, and this energy pushes people away. But when you give your relationship concerns to God, when you trust that you're worthy of love and that the right people will be in your life, everything shifts. You stop being needy. You start being more authentic. You attract people who are aligned with your true self. When you worry about your health, you're putting all your attention on what's wrong. You're reinforcing the illness with your focus. You're stressing your body with fear, which actually weakens your immune system. But when you give your health concerns to God, when you trust in your body's natural healing ability, when you focus on wellness rather than illness, you activate your body's innate intelligence. You support your healing rather than hindering it. Do you see the pattern here? In every area of your life, worry makes things worse, and trust makes things better. It's really that simple. And yet, so many of us have been conditioned to do the exact opposite. We've been taught to worry, to stress, to analyze, to figure everything out with our logical minds. But the logical mind is limited. It can only work with information it already has. It can only see possibilities based on past experience. The creative intelligence of the universe has no such limitations. It can create solutions you've never thought of. It can open doors that don't even exist yet. It can orchestrate events in ways that seem miraculous, but only if you get out of the way. Only if you stop trying to control how things happen and instead trust that they will happen in the perfect way at the perfect time. Here's another thing I want you to understand. When you give it to God, you're not alone anymore. You're not carrying the burden by yourself. You have the entire universe supporting you. You have an infinite intelligence guiding you. You have a power working on your behalf that never sleeps, never gets tired, never gives up. This power is working for you right now, even as you read these words. It's arranging circumstances. It's aligning events. It's bringing together the people, resources, and opportunities you need. But here's what stops most people from experiencing this support. They keep taking the burden back. They give it to God, and then 10 minutes later, they're worrying about it again. They surrender, and then they immediately try to control again. It's like trying to float in water, but constantly tensing up and thrashing around. You can't float if you're fighting. You can't receive help if you're insisting on doing everything yourself. This is why developing a practice of surrender is so important. It's not a one-time thing. It's a daily practice, a moment-to-moment practice. Every time you notice yourself worrying, you pause. You take a breath. You consciously give that worry to God. You say, I release this. I trust you to handle this. I know it's being taken care of. And then you redirect your attention to something that brings you peace or joy. At first, you might have to do this 50 times a day. Your mind is trained to worry. It's a habit. But habits can be changed. Every time you choose trust over worry, you're creating a new neural pathway in your brain. You're literally rewiring yourself. And over time, trust becomes your default state. Peace becomes your natural condition. And this is when you're living in the miraculous. Living in the miraculous doesn't mean that challenges disappear. It means you handle challenges differently. It means you face difficulties with peace instead of panic. It means you trust that even the hard things are working for your highest good. It means you see every experience as an opportunity to grow, to learn, to expand. And here's something really important. When you live this way, you inspire others. You become a light in the darkness. People look at you and wonder how you stay so calm, so peaceful, so joyful in the midst of life's storms. And you can share with them what you've learned. You can tell them about the power of surrender. You can show them through your example that there's another way to live. This is how we change the world, not through force or struggle, but through being living examples of peace, trust, and faith. When enough people start living this way, the entire collective consciousness shifts. We create a tipping point where love becomes stronger than fear, where trust becomes stronger than worry, where faith becomes stronger than doubt. But it starts with you. It starts with your willingness to let go of your need to control. It starts with your decision to trust. It starts with you giving your worries to God and keeping them there. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Not because you can't handle things, but because you understand that there's a better way. Let me tell you something else that's really important. When you give it to God, you're not avoiding responsibility. You're actually becoming more responsible. You're taking responsibility for your energy, for your vibration, for your state of mind. You're recognizing that the most important thing you can do is maintain your inner peace. Because when you're at peace, you make better decisions. When you're at peace, you're more creative. When you're at peace, you're more effective in everything you do. Think about it this way. If you're drowning in worry and anxiety, how much good can you really do? How much joy can you experience? How much love can you give? How much creativity can you express? The answer is not much. Worry depletes you. It drains your energy. It clouds your judgment. It blocks your intuition. It disconnects you from your source. But when you're at peace, when you're trusting, when you've given your worries to God, you're operating at your highest level. You're clear. You're energized. You're inspired. You're guided. You're effective. You're actually able to do what needs to be done and do it well because you're not doing it from a place of desperation or fear. This is what it means to let go and let God. You do your part with excellence, but you release your attachment to the outcome. You take action when action is called for, but you don't force things. You show up fully, but you trust that the results are being handled by a power greater than yourself. And here's what happens when you live this way. You start to experience synchronicities. Meaningful coincidences start happening all the time. You think of someone and they call you. You need information and you randomly run into someone who has it. You're wondering what to do next and a clear sign appears. These aren't accidents. These are the universe's way of showing you that you're aligned, that you're on the right path, that you're being guided. Pay attention to these synchronicities. They're messages for you. They're confirmation that you're connected to the infinite intelligence. They're evidence that you're not alone, that you're being supported, that miracles are real. And the more you notice them and acknowledge them with gratitude, the more they happen. It becomes a beautiful feedback loop where faith generates evidence, which generates more faith, which generates more evidence. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when people start practicing surrender. Sometimes, when you give something to God, the situation gets worse before it gets better. This is actually a good sign. It means that whatever needed to fall away is falling away. It means that old patterns are breaking down so new ones can form. It means that you're being cleared out to make room for something better. When this happens, don't panic. Don't think that surrender isn't working. Don't take the problem back and start worrying again. This is exactly when you need to trust most. This is when you need to say, okay, I don't understand why this is happening, but I trust that it's part of the process. I trust that I'm being guided to something better. I trust that this is all working out for my highest good. This kind of trust in the face of apparent difficulty is advanced spiritual practice. It's easy to trust when everything is going well. It's much harder to trust when things look like they're falling apart, but this is exactly when your trust is most powerful. This is when you're declaring to the universe, I believe in you no matter what my physical eyes see. I believe in the power of good no matter what circumstances suggest. And I promise you, if you can hold this trust, if you can maintain this faith, you will witness miracles. You will see situations that seemed impossible resolve themselves. You will experience outcomes that are better than anything you could have planned. You will understand why things had to unfold exactly the way they did. This is what it means to live by faith instead of by sight. It means trusting in what you can't see more than what you can see. It means believing in the invisible realm of spirit more than the visible realm of matter. It means knowing that there's a power working behind the scenes that's orchestrating everything for your highest good. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you live this way, when you give everything to God and stop worrying, you actually have more control over your life. Not the ego's version of control, which is really just an illusion anyway, but real influence. You have the power to shape your reality through your consciousness. You have the ability to attract what you want by becoming a vibrational match for it. You have the capacity to create miracles by aligning with the miraculous. This is your true power. Not the power to force things to happen, but the power to allow things to happen. Not the power to manipulate circumstances, but the power to flow with the perfection that's already unfolding. Not the power to fight against what is, but the power to accept what is and trust that it's leading you somewhere better. So right now, I want you to do something. I want you to take a moment and think about what you've been worrying about. What's been keeping you up at night? What's been weighing on your mind? What problem have you been trying to solve all by yourself? Get clear on what it is, and then consciously give it to God. Say it out loud if you can. Say, I give this to you. I can't handle this on my own. I'm tired of carrying this burden. I trust you to resolve this in the perfect way at the perfect time. Thank you for taking care of this for me. And then here's the most important part. Let it go. Really, let it go. Stop thinking about it. Stop analyzing it. Stop trying to figure out how it's going to work out. Every time your mind goes back to that worry, gently redirect it. Remind yourself, I've given this to God. It's being handled. I don't need to worry about it anymore. And then focus on something else, something that brings you joy or peace. This might feel strange at first. Your ego will fight you on this. It'll tell you that you need to keep thinking about the problem. It'll try to convince you that if you stop worrying, something bad will happen. But don't listen to your ego. Your ego doesn't have your best interests at heart. Your ego only knows fear and limitation. Your higher self knows that you're safe, supported, and guided. As you practice this, as you keep giving your worries to God and keeping them there, something shifts inside you. You start to feel lighter. You start to breathe easier. You start to sleep better. You start to smile more. You start to enjoy your life again. And this change in your energy changes everything. You become more attractive to opportunities. You become more magnetic to solutions. You become a beacon for miracles. And the miracles will come. They might not come in the way you expect. They might not come on your timeline, but they will come. And often, they'll be better than anything you could have imagined. Because the universe isn't limited by your imagination. The universe isn't constrained by your past experience. The universe has infinite possibilities available, and it can deliver solutions that are perfect for you in ways you never would have thought of. I've seen people healed from illnesses that doctors said were incurable. I've seen people receive money from the most unexpected sources when they were on the verge of bankruptcy. I've seen relationships restored that seemed beyond repair. I've seen careers transform overnight. I've seen people find their purpose and passion after years of feeling lost. And in every single case, it happened after they stopped struggling and started surrendering. It happened after they gave it to God. This is available to you too, right now, today. You don't have to wait. You don't have to become more spiritual or more worthy or more anything. You just have to be willing to let go, willing to trust, willing to believe that there's a power greater than yourself that wants to help you. And as you practice this, as you make surrender your way of life, you'll start to notice something beautiful. You'll start to notice that you're happy for no reason. You'll wake up in the morning feeling grateful just to be alive. You'll look at the sky and be moved by its beauty. You'll interact with people and feel genuine love and connection. You'll experience joy that doesn't depend on your circumstances. This is the peace that passes all understanding. This is the joy that's independent of external conditions. This is what happens when you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. This is what happens when you give it all to God and trust that everything is being taken care of. And from this place of peace and trust, you become more effective in the world. You make better decisions. You take more inspired action. You attract better opportunities. You create better outcomes. Not through struggle, but through alignment. Not through force, but through flow. Not through worry, but through trust. This is the secret that the great spiritual teachers throughout history have been trying to tell us. Let go. Surrender, trust. Have faith. Stop trying to do it all yourself. Allow the universe to support you. Give your burdens to God. And watch as the impossible becomes possible. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were never meant to figure everything out on your own. You were never meant to live in constant worry and anxiety. You were meant to live in peace. You were meant to experience joy. You were meant to trust in a power greater than yourself. You were meant to witness miracles. And the moment you truly surrender, the moment you really give it to God and stop worrying, that's when the impossible starts happening in your life. That's when doors open that were previously closed. That's when solutions appear that you never thought of. That's when help arrives from unexpected sources. That's when you realize that you've never been alone, that you've always been supported, that you've always been loved. This is your birthright. This is your natural state. This is how you were meant to live. And all you have to do is stop fighting it. Stop resisting it. Stop trying to control it. Just let go. Trust. Have faith. Give it to God. And watch what happens. Watch as your life transforms. Watch as miracles become your new normal. Watch as peace replaces anxiety. Watch as joy replaces fear. Watch as grace replaces struggle. You are so much more powerful than you think you are. Not because of what you can do with your own limited strength, but because of what can be done through you when you align with the infinite power of the universe. You are a channel for miracles. You are an expression of divine love. You are a co-creator with God. But you can only experience this power when you stop blocking it with your worry and your need to control. So today, make a decision. Decide that from this moment forward, you're going to practice surrender. You're going to give your worries to God. You're going to trust in the process. You're going to have faith that everything is working out for your highest good. You're going to stop struggling and start flowing. You're going to stop forcing and start allowing. You're going to stop worrying and start trusting. And as you do this, as you make this your practice, your life will change in ways you cannot yet comprehend. You will experience a level of peace you've never known. You will witness synchronicities that take your breath away. You will receive help from sources you never expected. You will find solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable. You will experience the impossible becoming possible in your life. This is not a promise that everything will always be easy. This is not a guarantee that you'll never face challenges. What this is a promise that you'll never have to face those challenges alone. It's a guarantee that there's always a power working on your behalf. It's an assurance that when you surrender to God, when you give your worries away and trust in the process, miracles happen. So give it to God. Stop worrying. Trust the process. Have faith. And watch as the impossible becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Watch as your life transforms from struggle to grace, from anxiety to peace, from limitation to infinite possibility. This is your moment. This is your chance. This is your opportunity to step into a new way of being. Take it. You won't regret it. I promise you that. You know, there's a voice inside you right now. It's been there your whole life, whispering to you, guiding you, nudging you in certain directions. Most people ignore it. They push it aside because they're too busy listening to all the other voices, the voices of doubt, the voices of fear, the voices of what other people think they should do. But that quiet voice, that gentle knowing that comes from somewhere beyond your thinking mind, that's the voice of God speaking directly to you through your intuition. And I want to talk to you about this because it's the most important conversation you'll ever have with yourself. It's about learning to trust that inner knowing, that feeling in your gut that tells you yes or no before your mind even has time to analyze it. That's not just some random feeling. That's divine guidance. That's the universe. That's God. That's the highest part of yourself communicating with you in the only way that bypasses all the noise and confusion of your everyday thinking. Think about the times in your life when you knew something without knowing how you knew it. You met someone and instantly felt you could trust them. Or maybe you felt the opposite. A warning bell went off inside you, even though on the surface everything seemed fine. You were about to make a decision, and something inside you said, wait, not yet, or go now, this is your moment. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was intuition. That was God speaking to you in a language that doesn't use words. Most of us have been trained from childhood to ignore this inner voice. We've been taught to rely only on logic, only on what we can see and measure and prove. We've been told to listen to authorities, to experts, to anyone but ourselves. And so we've learned to override that inner knowing. We've learned to talk ourselves out of what we feel in our hearts. We say things like, I'm just being silly, or that's not logical, or what will people think? And in doing so, we disconnect from the very source of wisdom that's trying to guide us toward our highest good. But here's what I want you to understand. Your intuition is not separate from God. It's not separate from the creative intelligence that runs the entire universe. The same force that causes a seed to become a tree, that causes your heart to beat witut you thinking about it, that organizes galaxies and seasons and the perfect timing of everything in nature, that same intelligence is inside you, speaking to you, guiding you, if only you'll listen. When you get a feeling about something, when you have a hunch, when something just feels right or wrong to you, that's not random. That's information coming from a source that knows more than your conscious mind knows. Your conscious mind only knows what it's learned, what it's been taught, what it's experienced. But your intuition is connected to infinite intelligence. It knows things your mind hasn't learned yet. It sees patterns your eyes can't see. It understands connections that your logical brain can't figure out. And the beautiful thing is everyone has this. It's not a gift that only special people have. It's not something you need to develop or earn. It's already there. It's been there since the day you were born. In fact, watch little children. They're completely guided by their intuition. They know when they're tired, when they're hungry, what makes them happy, who they want to be around. They haven't learned yet to second guess themselves, to analyze everything to death, to worry about what everyone else thinks. They just follow their inner guidance naturally. But then we grow up, and we get taught to distrust that inner voice. We get taught to fit in, to follow the rules, to do what's expected, to be practical, to be realistic. And slowly, bit by bit, we learn to disconnect from our intuition. We learn to ignore it. We learn to make decisions based on what we think we should do rather than what we feel called to do. And then we wonder why we feel lost. We wonder why we feel like something's missing. We wonder why we're not happy even though we're doing everything we're supposed to do. The reason is simple. We've cut ourselves off from our guidance system. We're trying to navigate life without the compass that was built into us. We're trying to find our way using only our thinking mind, which is limited, which is based on past experiences and conditioning, which is full of fears and doubts and other people's opinions. And our thinking mind alone is not enough. It will lead us in circles. It will keep us stuck in patterns that don't serve us. It will convince us to play it safe, to stay small, to avoid taking the risks that our soul is calling us to take. But when you learn to listen to your intuition, when you learn to trust that inner voice, everything changes. Suddenly you have access to wisdom that goes beyond anything you've learned in books or schools. You have access to guidance that's perfectly tailored to you, to your unique path, to your specific circumstances. You have access to a knowing that always points you toward your highest good. Now, let me be clear about something. Your intuition doesn't speak to you the way your thinking mind speaks to you. Your thinking mind is loud. It talks constantly. It analyzes, it judges, it worries, it plans, it rehashes the past, it projects into the future. It's like a radio that's always on, always chattering away. But your intuition is quiet. It's subtle. It's a feeling, a knowing, a gentle nudge. It doesn't argue with you. It doesn't try to convince you. It just presents itself and then waits patiently for you to notice it. This is why so many people miss it. They're waiting for some loud, dramatic sign. They're waiting for God to speak to them in thunder and lightning. But God doesn't work that way. God speaks in whispers. God speaks in feelings. God speaks in that still small voice that you can only hear when you quiet your mind and turn your attention inward. And here's the thing about intuition. It always speaks in the present moment. It doesn't dwell on the past. It doesn't worry about the future. It simply tells you what's true right now, what's right for you right now, what you need to know right now. Your thinking mind loves to time travel. It's constantly replaying yesterday or rehearsing tomorrow. But your intuition is anchored in the now, because that's where God is, that's where life is, that's where your power is. So how do you learn to hear this voice more clearly? How do you strengthen your connection to your intuition? The first step is to get quiet. You've got to create space in your life for silence, for stillness, for just being instead of constantly doing. This is why meditation is so powerful. It's not about achieving some special state or having mystical experiences. It's simply about quieting your thinking mind long enough that you can hear the other voice, the intuitive voice, the voice of your higher self. You don't need to meditate for hours. Even 5 minutes of sitting quietly, breathing, letting your thoughts settle, that's enough to begin building this connection. Think of it like tuning a radio. When there's too much static, you can't hear the music. But when you tune the dial just right, suddenly the music comes through crystal clear. That's what happens when you quiet your mind. The static of your thoughts dies down, and you can hear the signal of your intuition coming through. The second step is to pay attention to how your body feels. Your intuition speaks through your body. It gives you feelings. Some people feel it in their gut. That's why we call it a gut feeling. Some people feel it in their chest, in their heart. Some people feel it as a tingling or a warmth or a sense of expansion when something is right, and a sense of contraction or heaviness when something is wrong. Your body is constantly giving you feedback about what's aligned for you and what isn't. But you have to tune in. You have to notice. Start asking yourself, how does this feel? Not, what do I think about this? But how does this feel? When you're making a decision, when you're considering different options, pause and check in with your body. Does this option make you feel light and open and energized? Or does it make you feel heavy and tight and drained? Your body knows. Your body is receiving information from your intuition all the time. You just have to learn to read the signals. The third step is to trust what you receive, even when it doesn't make logical sense. This is the hardest part for most people. Your intuition might tell you to turn left when logic says turn right. It might tell you to wait when everyone else says hurry up. It might tell you to go for something when your mind says it's impossible. And you have to be willing to trust it anyway. This doesn't mean you become reckless or ignore practical considerations. It means you give your intuition equal weight, maybe even more weight, than your logical analysis. It means you're willing to act on inner guidance even when you can't explain it, even when you can't justify it to other people, even when it doesn't fit into your plans or your timeline. And here's what happens when you start doing this. At first, you might feel uncertain. You might question yourself. You might wonder if you're just making things up. But if you stick with it, if you keep following those intuitive nudges, you'll start to see results. Things will work out in ways you couldn't have planned. Opportunities will show up at just the right time. You'll avoid problems that you didn't even know were there. You'll meet people who are exactly who you needed to meet. And gradually, you'll build trust in this inner guidance system. Every time you follow your intuition and it leads you to something good, your trust deepens. Every time you ignore your intuition and regret it later, you learn to take it more seriously next time. It's a relationship you're building, a relationship with the highest, wisest part of yourself, with the divine intelligence that's always looking out for you. Now, I want to address something important. Some people worry that if they follow their intuition, they'll become flaky or irresponsible. They worry that intuition is just another word for wishful thinking or self-indulgence. But that's not what intuition is at all. Real intuition never leads you towards something that harms you or others. It never tells you to be cruel or selfish or destructive. That's not intuition. That's ego, that's fear, that's desire masquerading as intuition. Real intuition always leads you toward love, toward growth, toward your highest good and the highest good of everyone involved. It might lead you out of your comfort zone. It might ask you to make changes that feel scary. It might require you to disappoint some people or go against convention. But it will never lead you towards something that's truly harmful. It will never lead you away from your integrity. So how do you tell the difference between intuition and ego? Intuition feels calm, even when it's telling you to do something bold. Ego feels frantic and pushy. Intuition is patient. Ego is urgent. Intuition comes with a sense of peace, even if there's also excitement or nervousness. Ego comes with anxiety and doubt. Intuition says, this is your path. Ego says, you have to do this or else. When you get a true intuitive hit, there's a quality of knowing that's unmistakable. It's not a hope or a wish or a preference. It's simply a knowing. You just know. And even if your mind immediately starts arguing with it, even if your mind starts listing all the reasons why it won't work or it's not practical or it's too risky, underneath all that mental chatter, the knowing remains. That's intuition. And here's something else I want you to understand. Your intuition is always guiding you toward your purpose, toward what you're here to do, toward the fullest expression of who you really are. It's not random guidance. It's not just helping you avoid problems or make good choices, although it does that too. It's trying to lead you toward your destiny. You have a unique contribution to make in this world. You have gifts and talents and perspectives that no one else has in quite the same combination. And there's a way for you to express those gifts, a way for you to be of service, a way for you to create and contribute and make a difference that's perfectly suited to who you are. Your intuition knows what that is. Your intuition is constantly trying to steer you in that direction. But you have to be willing to follow it, even when it takes you off the beaten path. Even when it leads you away from what you thought you wanted or what you thought you were supposed to do. Even when it doesn't match other people's expectations or definitions of success. Your intuition doesn't care about impressing anyone. It doesn't care about status or money or approval. It only cares about aligning you with your true path. And when you're on your true path, when you're aligned with your intuition, life flows differently. Synchronicities happen. The right doors open. The right people show up. Things that would have been struggles become easier. This doesn't mean life becomes perfect or problem-free. It means you're working with the current instead of against it. You're moving in harmony with the universe instead of fighting it. Think of a river. When you try to swim upstream, it's exhausting. You're using all your energy just to make a little bit of progress, and as soon as you stop struggling, you get pushed right back. But when you turn around and swim with the current, suddenly everything is effortless. You're still swimming, you're still making effort, but the river is helping you. That's what it's like when you follow your intuition. You're aligning with a force that's much bigger than you, and it carries you forward. Now, following your intuition doesn't mean sitting around and waiting for signs. It doesn't mean being passive. It means being active and engaged with your life, but from a place of inner guidance rather than outer pressure. It means taking action, but action that feels inspired rather than forced. It means moving forward, but in a direction that feels true to you rather than a direction that someone else says you should go. And sometimes your intuition will tell you to do things that seem small or insignificant. It might tell you to call someone, to take a different route home, to pick up a certain book, to go to a certain place. And these little nudges often lead to big things. You call someone and they tell you about an opportunity. You take a different route and avoid an accident. You pick up a book and it contains exactly the information you needed. You go to a place and you meet someone who changes your life. This is how God works through your intuition. It's not usually big, dramatic interventions. It's these gentle nudges, these small course corrections that add up over time to completely change the trajectory of your life. But you have to be paying attention. You have to be willing to follow the guidance even when you don't see the bigger picture. And that's another thing about intuition. It doesn't usually give you the whole plan. It gives you the next step. It says, do this now, but it doesn't necessarily tell you why or where it's leading. This requires faith. This requires trust. This requires being willing to take one step without knowing what the second step will be. Most people want guarantees. They want to see the whole staircase before they take the first step. But that's not how intuition works. That's not how life works. You have to be willing to step into the unknown, trusting that the next step will be revealed when you need it. This is what it means to live by faith. Not blind faith, but faith in your inner guidance, faith in the divine intelligence that's directing your life. And let me tell you something. The more you follow your intuition, the stronger it gets. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the more developed it becomes. At first, you might only get occasional flashes of insight. But as you pay attention and trust what you receive, the guidance becomes clearer, more frequent, more specific. You develop a constant dialogue with your higher self, with God. You start living from the inside out instead of the outside in. Instead of looking to the world to tell you what to do, you look within. Instead of basing your decisions on what's popular or expected or safe, you base them on what feels true to you. Instead of trying to figure everything out with your mind, you tap into a wisdom that's far greater than your mind. And this changes everything. It changes how you make decisions. It changes what you pursue. It changes who you spend time with. It changes how you see yourself and your place in the world. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. You stop feeling lost or confused. You start feeling guided, supported, connected to something vast and loving and intelligent that's always with you, always helping you, always showing you the way. This is what it means to have a relationship with God. Not a relationship based on beliefs or doctrines or rituals, although those can have their place, but a living, breathing, moment-to-moment relationship where you're constantly receiving guidance and responding to it. where you're constantly in conversation with the divine intelligence that created you and knows you better than you know yourself. And God speaks to everyone this way, not just to special people or holy people or enlightened people, to everyone. The voice of intuition is available to every single human being because we're all connected to the same source. We're all expressions of the same creative intelligence. We all have access to the same infinite wisdom. The question is not whether God is speaking to you. The question is whether you're listening. The question is whether you've learned to quiet your mind enough to hear the quiet voice. The question is whether you trust yourself enough to follow what you hear. And if you've been ignoring your intuition, if you've been overriding it or dismissing it or explaining it away, it's not too late. It's never too late to start listening. That voice hasn't gone away. It's still there right now, waiting patiently for you to turn your attention to it. All you have to do is get quiet, tune in, and ask. Ask and you will receive. This isn't just a nice saying, it's a law of how the universe works. When you ask with genuine openness and willingness to hear, the answer comes, not always in the form you expect, not always immediately, but it comes. Sometimes the answer is a feeling. Sometimes it's a thought that pops into your head. Sometimes it's something you overhear or read or see that suddenly makes everything clear. The universe, God, your higher self, is always responding to you. You're never alone in this. You're never without guidance. Even in your darkest moments, even when you feel lost and confused, the guidance is there. You just have to remember to check in, to ask, to listen. And when you do this consistently, when you make it a practice to tune into your intuition every day, multiple times a day, you begin to live a completely different quality of life. You stop second-guessing yourself so much. You stop getting paralyzed by decisions. You stop feeling like you have to have all the answers figured out. You relax into a trust that you're being guided, that you're on your path, that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. This doesn't mean you become complacent or stop growing. Actually, the opposite happens. When you're aligned with your intuition, you grow faster than ever because you're not wasting energy going in wrong directions. You're not spending years pursuing things that aren't meant for you. You're moving efficiently toward what is meant for you, toward the fullest expression of your potential. And along the way, you start to notice how magical life really is. You start to see the perfection in everything. You start to recognize that even the things that seemed like mistakes or setbacks at the time were actually part of a bigger plan, leading you to exactly where you needed to be. You start to see the hand of God in everything, not as some distant puppet master pulling strings, but as an intelligence that's woven into the fabric of your life, guiding you from within. This is living in partnership with the divine. This is co-creating your life with God. You bring your willingness, your effort, your humanity, and God brings the wisdom, the guidance, the grace that makes everything possible. Together, there's nothing you can't handle, nowhere. You can't go, nothing you can't create. Your intuition is God's gift to you. It's the communication system that allows you to stay connected to your source, to stay aligned with your purpose, to stay on your path no matter what's happening around you. It's the most valuable tool you have for navigating this life. More valuable than your education, more valuable than your connections, more valuable than your experience. Because all those things are external. They can be lost or taken away. But your intuition is internal. It's part of you. It can never be lost or taken away. It's always there, always accessible, always ready to guide you if you're willing to listen. So I encourage you, starting today, starting right now, make a commitment to yourself to listen to your intuition. Make a commitment to quiet your mind regularly so you can hear that still small voice. Make a commitment to trust what you feel even when it doesn't make logical sense. Make a commitment to follow the nudges. Take the inspired actions. Go where you're being called to go. You might not understand why. You might not see how it's all going to work out. But trust the process. Trust the guidance. Trust that the same intelligence that's keeping your heart beating and the planet spinning knows what it's doing in your life too. And watch what happens. Watch how your life begins to align. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how problems resolve. Watch how you start to feel more peaceful, more confident, more certain of your path. Watch how you start to experience the flow, the synchronicity, the grace that comes from living in alignment with your intuition. This is not some new age fantasy. This is how life is meant to be lived. This is what it means to be fully human and fully connected to the divine at the same time. This is your birthright. This is what's possible for you when you remember who you really are and reconnect with the source of wisdom that's always within you. God is speaking to you right now through your intuition. The question is, are you listening? Are you willing to trust what you hear? Are you ready to follow where it leads? Because on the other side of that willingness, on the other side of that trust, is a life beyond anything your thinking mind could plan or imagine. A life of purpose, of meaning, of contribution, a life that's uniquely yours, perfectly suited to who you really are. That life is waiting for you. Your intuition is the map that will take you there. All you have to do is follow it, one step at a time, one choice at a time, one moment at a time. And as you do, you'll find yourself becoming more and more of who you were always meant to be. You'll find yourself living from a place of inner peace and outer purpose. You'll find yourself experiencing the joy and the freedom that comes from being aligned with the divine will, which is not separate from your own true will, but is actually the deepest expression of it. So listen to that voice within you. Trust it. Honor it. Follow it. It's been waiting your whole life for you to pay attention. It has so much to show you, so much to teach you, so much to give you. It's the voice of love, the voice of wisdom, the voice of God speaking directly to your heart, guiding you home to yourself, guiding you forward into the magnificent life you came here to live. Every single day and every single moment, you have the opportunity to check in with your intuition and let it guide you. You have the opportunity to choose alignment over resistance, trust over fear, inner wisdom over outer noise. And every time you make that choice, you strengthen the connection. Every time you honor your intuition, you deepen your relationship with the divine. Every time you follow that inner guidance, you take another step toward becoming the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. This is the path. This is the way. This is how you live a life that matters, a life that's true, a life that's yours. Not by following someone else's map or someone else's rules or someone else's definition of success, but by following the guidance that comes from within, the voice of God speaking through your intuition, showing you the way that only you can walk, calling you toward the destiny that only you can fulfill. So trust yourself. Trust that inner knowing. Trust that quiet voice. It's the wisest teacher you'll ever have, the most faithful friend you'll ever know, the truest guide you'll ever follow. It's God whispering in your ear every moment of every day, telling you exactly what you need to know, showing you exactly where you need to go, helping you become exactly who you were always meant to be. Listen, trust, follow, and watch your life transform into something more beautiful than you ever dreamed possible. Because that's what happens when you let God speak to you through your intuition and you have the courage to listen. That's what happens when you stop living from the outside in and start living from the inside out. That's what happens when you remember that you're not alone, you're not lost, you're not without guidance. You have everything you need right inside you, right now, in this moment. Your intuition is waiting, God is waiting, your highest life is waiting. All you have to do is tune in, turn inward, and trust what you find there. The rest will unfold naturally, beautifully, perfectly as it was always meant to. This is your invitation. This is your reminder. This is your truth. You are guided. You are loved. You are being led to exactly where you need to be, one intuitive nudge at a time. Trust it, follow it, live it, and become the magnificent being you came here to be.